pretty. Ah, look at that. That's a really big leaf. Who did that? Little jerk friends. Hi everyone, Alex at Coram Deo Farm. I can't believe it's already the end of August, which means it's time for another garden tour. I kind of gave a mini tour in our last video and I did some fall planting, but I still thought for record's sake and for a little more close shots, let you know what's going on in the garden here at the end of August when it is still temperatures in the low to mid 90s and very, very summer feeling. Before we go in the garden, I wanted to show you here what's to the left of me is future expansion flower plants. So if you watched previous videos, I created a perennial garden in May on the other side of the raised bed where we have a nice seating area. And we thought to balance out the space nicely, and also because my husband is tired of mowing 2.5 acres, the more I can plant means the less he has to mow, and I get more plants, so it really is a win-win. And this is gonna be our new section. And so we put down a silage tarp to help kill back as much of our Bermuda grass as we absolutely can. And I'm hoping that at the end of October and into November, I'm going to be transplanting my perennial yarrow that's in the flower farm field. I'm going to be adding tons of tulips and daffodils and irises. And we're also going to transplant our failed peony section into here. So this is going to be absolutely gorgeous in the spring, but I'll be planting those in the fall because they're all perennials. And it'll also give me the chance over the winter to just be thinking about, dreaming about planting the type of summer flowers that I want to add. So I'm really excited about the expansion plans, but let's go look at what's actively growing this season. We just got an absolute ton of rain and it's cloudy, perfect lighting. The plants are really happy because they got a delicious drink. They haven't been watered in probably 36 hours, so they are looking so green and beautiful. But here I have my corn on either side. To my left, I've already harvested probably 10 ears of corn, and I have a couple more left to mature, and then my plan is to cut them and dry them for some fall arrangements. Instead of having to pay for it, I'll just dry my own corn. And the other side, they got stunted because they weren't getting enough sun, but they look really healthy to me, and I think I'll just end up getting, it's almost like I succession planted even though I wasn't trying to do that. So it was a win. In this open gap, I've got my carrots. And again, if you didn't see my video, I will post it in the description box below of my fall planting. I just put in all of my fall seeds, and so you'll be seeing the little germination sprouts that I'm noticing from them, which is exciting. Also, my roses here. So when I planted them, I got them as bare root from David Austin. They're a Strawberry Hill variety. They just sat and literally did nothing for months and months. And I was getting worried, I was getting bummed out. I absolutely love this rose. But as our temperatures have chilled out just a little bit, they've put on a ton of new growth, which is already giving me a little bit more excitement and visions of them climbing up this trellis. And so I'm thinking if all goes well, by the end of next season, they'll be at least halfway up. And so maybe by year 3 or 4, I'm talking about full coverage on my arch, which would just be incredible, as long as you don't get poked. All right, let's go. Okay. My husband's gonna make commentary behind the camera the whole time. This is the least nice section of the garden. I might have overplanted, whatever, it's fine. I tend to just stick seeds in empty spaces during the growing season when I get really excited. And I did that with a Blue Hubbard pumpkin squash, and they're huge. So he starts in the ground way over there, and he comes down, passes his zucchini friend, and completely makes the turn and is almost out to the main walkway. I haven't seen that many squash bugs on it. I feel like squash bugs, if they're given a choice of like their last meal between a Blue Hubbard and a zucchini, they're picking zucchini every time, because my 2 remaining zucchini have the squash bugs, the Blue Hubbard does not. So in that relationship, the zucchini is the trap crop to keep the Blue Hubbard alive. So whatever, we're just gonna let it go and see what happens. It's an English style garden. Here on either side of me, I have my tomatoes. A couple weeks ago, I gave them a very hard cut back and prune in the hopes that they would reflush, put on a lot of new growth, and give me a good fall harvest. And I think they're on track to do that. Some of them are taller than me. I'm 5'8", and a couple of my indeterminate tomatoes are taller than me. I'll stand next to it for proof. They're taller than me. And our temperatures are getting cool enough in the evenings that I also think a lot of these blossoms are actually going to set fruit, where in July and August it was just too hot and they were shriveling up and dying. But I think that these blossoms are actually going to give me some fall tomatoes, which I'm really excited about. So I just said how I have a tendency to pop seeds in empty spaces, and that works fairly well in the summer when you have a long growing season and it's warm and things are growing and it's great. But as you're transitioning into fall and your days to harvest is getting smaller and smaller, our first frost is typically around Halloween, which I think is like 60-ish days from now. I'm limited in what I can plant, and also I'm planning on using this raised garden for a lot of overwintered spring bulbs. And so I'm having to exercise restraint in keeping a lot of these empty spaces truly empty, so I'm not having more plant debris to pull out when it becomes time to actually plant all of the tulips that I have planned. But I still have dahlias in each corner, which are doing really well. I'm hoping to finally see blooms on some of these guys in September and October. Dahlias tend to be very delayed gratification flowers, driving me a bit nuts, but they're healthy and I'm excited. And I have a couple sunflowers going. So things are pretty good. This is my messy corner. It has some yarrow and liatris that are perennial flowers that will end up getting transplanted into that new garden I told you about. So this yarrow, and then these fern looking plants here in the back. That's liatris. It blooms its second year, not its first year. And so I'm just going to be able to transplant it into the new perennial space to do its thing and give me a bunch of stems in the future. Again, yeah, look at that. That's a really big leaf. It's like as wide as my torso. My birdhouse gourds are doing really well. My Fauci masks are doing their job. They're holding it. I've had no breakage. But when we did put these masks up, we totally didn't see one that was hiding behind a massive leaf. And it turns out he's actually the biggest one. So I'm keeping an eye on the pressure on the vine, which is pretty rough there. We'll see. I don't want him to break off, so we might need to give him a little tie-up support. But I have 6 birdhouse gourds from 2 vines, which is really, really exciting. I know I have a little friend of me that lives in the garden. We've heard him and seen a scurry multiple times. I think it's too small to be a rabbit, and I'm not quite sure we have a big enough hole to get in. So I think it's some kind of like mouse, kangaroo, mousey kind of thing, and we just heard him. I don't know where he went. I can't find him, but he seems to like to live in the basil and tomatoes and over here with the pollinators. So I'll have to keep an eye on him, because I'll show you when we get over to the cucumbers. I think I saw evidence of his damage. So not too happy. I'm gonna have to check my chicken wire. This corner has a lot of my dahlias. Again, trying to be very patient and waiting for them to bloom, and also leaving my gaps open for my fall flowers. My spring flowers, technically. These dahlias, they're bug eaten, like everything in my life it seems, but they're really beautiful and they're getting really tall, anemone shaped. They're called totally tangerine and Dad's favorite. Really beautiful purple flowers. This would be my tomato shame. This is a wonderful example of when you plant your little tiny tomato sprouts and you're putting them in the ground and you're like, this is fine, I'll figure out trellising, no big deal. And you forget completely that this is what 4 tomatoes turns into. At this point, it is what it is. Again, I was talking about days till last frost. It's not really worth it for me to do a huge haircut for these and wait for them to reflush. I'm just gonna let them be. And when I decide enough is enough, sometime in October, we'll cut them at their base, we'll remove them. I'll do better next year. But yes, tomato forest. It looks like Independence Day. Yeah. when the spaceship, hopefully Will Smith can save us. Here's a really exciting update from my fall video, which just posted a couple days ago. I already have germination on my jade beans, and I just love seeing their sweet little seeds. It means my seeds are good. They're happy in the soil and with my watering. I'm really excited. This guy though, see, this is what I mean. This guy is suspiciously low in leaves. So I'm gonna need to keep an eye on my little mousy friend because they love a fresh seed. And if he tops these, I'm not gonna be very happy with him. We gotta figure out the mousy man. I would say my peppers are the most successful thing in the garden. They have like no bug damage, no disease damage. They're low maintenance. They can handle water every other day, and they're giving me great production. So this is my sweet pepper side. I've just got tons and tons of bell peppers. They're not very big, so I need to do a better job of researching how I can get a little bit bigger bell peppers, but they taste delicious and they're super happy. And I'm definitely going to be planting them again next year. The rain looks pretty on all the leaves. So that's one half of the garden. Let's finish here on the other side. So this section is my rehomed tomato plants. My friend had some extras and we couldn't just throw them away. So I popped them in, and again, tomato regret, but here we are, we're committed. We'll see how much fruit I get off of them. Enemy right in front of my face. Look at him. Look at the water on his head. My little hat. No! Ah! Oh. Well, here, let's just show what we do when we get squishy little jerk friends. The bucket of death. He's totally had a little tour of these tomatoes, like the little jerk that he is. But these are a bunch of cherry tomatoes. We'll see how much I get off of them. It's just fun. It's a nice filler. I have a barely surviving the squash bug zucchini, but I have harvested at least 3 zucchinis off of him, which I would still call a success. We have a content plan to do an update on our zucchini squash battle. So if you're interested in if we're winning the battle against squash bugs or not, I would suggest subscribing to the channel, ringing the bell, doing all that sort of fun stuff so that you can be notified when we do the squash bug video. And I think it'll be interesting. I think you should watch it. Here we have my strawberry bed. My strawberry bed was planted in the spring. I'm letting the runners go. I'm pinching the blossoms and it continues super happy. But here is my second planting of cucumbers. I planted these in early August, direct sowed, hoping to get a fall crop. And my spring cucumbers didn't have one sighting of cucumber beetles. I got 1,000,001 cucumbers off of these plants, but with my fall planting and the fact that the cucumber beetles are alive and active, these guys are looking a lot more rough than my spring cucumbers did, unfortunately. So it'll be interesting to see how much production I get off of these plants that are way more stressed, to see if it's really worth it to do a fall planting. We're still kind of in the TBD because it's not fruiting yet, but it definitely looks way uglier. This section is my blooming dahlia section. These are the dahlia tubers that I didn't purchase, but I overwintered and some of them survived. They're looking stressed. I'm learning a ton on proper trellising and support, but I'm seeing blooms, which I'm really excited about. I got some big white ones, big purple ones. I have a couple that I'm yet to see what variety they are. Come look at this one. This one is this pink one that just opened. So pretty. So I'm hoping they just keep getting taller and taller and sending off new buds for new flowers until frost. Again, my hollyhocks just love life. Got my random sunflowers I did. But here, it's so weeny tiny. This is my spinach. I've got little baby spinach. It's gonna come up. They probably absolutely love this rain. It's actually really good timing to sow seeds. In the corner here, I have more dahlias. Again, not my favorite in how they're doing, but it's okay. Oh yeah, look, yay! This is my, ignore this. This is my Swiss chard. So I'm getting germination within like 4 or 5 days, which is really awesome. I was worried that in our heat, I was gonna have struggle. It was gonna be too hot for them, but it looks like the answer is no. Oh, and all my radish are coming up. So the fall garden is going to happen. Yay! So the key really truly seems to be water, water, water. We're coming to the last little quadrant. So again, I've talked about morning glories in all of my tours of just the semi-disaster that it was, but a positive is I did redirect it and I ended up getting the covered arch look that I wanted all along, especially when my beans didn't work out. I really like how it looks. I really enjoy the covered arch. I have a second section of cucumbers just like I did in the spring, and again, they look pretty beat up and eaten from those dark cucumber beetles. We'll see if I get a harvest, but I mentioned over there about evidence of a little frenemy pest. And look at this, I already have a cucumber, which is awesome, but it's got those look like little mouse ratty bites, don't you think? Little mouse rat teeth. Mouse rat.
Mouse rat.
Mouse rat, like Parks and Rec rat. That's exactly what it is. Okay. Oh dear, look at this guy. Oh no. Gotta get him.
You had a big blow today.
I know. This rain was a little too aggressive. This final section is the most open, and I know I mentioned trying to keep things open to prepare for the tulips, but this is just way too big of a section to leave open. So I sowed it full of sunflowers. So hopefully I have October sunflowers in here. Sunflowers though are really great, almost cover crop in that their roots are really great for the soil. So it's an easy win. I can cut the sunflowers to sell with the flower farm, cut them at the base, the roots can stay in the soil and decompose and be ready for tulip planting. It's a win-win. I just did them maybe like 36 hours ago, 24 hours ago, so I don't have any germination yet. Here, the final end, this is my spicy pepper section. My serranos are absolutely loving life. I only planted 2 serrano plants, 2 peppers. I probably will harvest over 100 serranos, if not more, by the end of the season from just 2 plants, and serranos are like hella spicy, so 1 was probably sufficient. And also my habaneros are absolutely crazy. One of them fell off, it's orange. The serranos are crazy. My jalapenos are okay. My jalapenos, I don't know if it's the variety I planted or something I'm doing wrong, but they're super tiny and weeny, so I haven't had enough to do like a cowboy candy and whatnot. So I've just been dicing it and either freezing it or putting it in salsa because they're just not, like look, this one's already overripe because he's going to turn black to red. And look how teeny that is. Like what is that? It's like a dwarf jalapeno. So not loving it, but it's okay. And lastly, this is my Thai pepper. If it's really neat that it grows upright. Goes straight up instead of down. And red is when it's ripe, and it's crazy spicy. And I am going to harvest all of these and I'm going to dehydrate them and powder them for a chili powder. They're not really like eating peppers, but better for like drying to use for the seeds or grinding it for chili powder, which is awesome. And this is my final corner. I've still got my black-eyed Susan vines going. This is fun. This turned into like a natural trellis. The black-eyed Susan vine overtook the stem of a sunflower, so I couldn't even remove it, and so I just left it. So it's like a little natural trellis. This is my other tomato section, and look at this giant Mondo slicer. Thank goodness the rain didn't totally break my trellising system here, because that guy is gonna be delicious. No! Who did that? Maybe it fell off and then got eaten. It's probably a grasshopper. It's always a grasshopper. I think everything's looking really good in this space. A lot of it is kind of in between. It's stress from summer and getting geared up to give me a harvest in the fall. Not a ton is blooming or producing, but things are really healthy. The bug pressure is not horrific in this space like it is in a lot of my issues in the field section. So I'm really happy about this. I'm learning a lot of do's and don'ts for next year, things I want to change and do better, but I'm most excited about seeing germination in all of my fall planting, which is exciting because as the summer plants do wind down, as the days get shorter, my fall crop is going to be going, and that's going to be something I'm really going to enjoy harvesting from. And then the excitement of kind of ripping it all out and that cleanup refresh feel and planting all of my spring bulbs. In a future video, I'll go over all the spring bulbs I'm planting. So again, if you're interested in that, subscribe and follow because that'll be, I think, a really good video. I hope you enjoyed this tour of what's going on in my Oklahoma 7A raised garden. Bye.